So then we are back with more understandings from the time of the Second Tabernacle services, where we find in the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Tzayelic lineage, so then we can understand the time of the end as per Sheol the prophet. We find layers of understanding of the spring feast, the autumn feast, and also the returning of the cities of the Messiah laid waste for many centuries. Reading from Sheol, we are always pleased of understanding then Leviticus the 23rd chapter, the times and the seasons of Hebrews, and then during this special time we find then Revelation, known as Galah, extremely important, so then we can understand and expect what's coming then in the very near future. There is then always the understanding regarding this world and what the world can give. Not very many people, they have their lives straightened out coming from a background of a total isolation from the world. Let's try to explain this a bit more. The Creator sometimes, He evaluates similarly the way we do, but much more profoundly. Those people who are truly involved with the holy teachings, they go through a period of time of isolation. Sometimes they get secluded for a long time. Circumstances sometimes very tough around the person, so then the proper teaching can be then exercised. And then later on a person is released and then begin the production of fruit. Sometimes when teams are put together, there are mixtures of many kinds of personalities, many kinds of people, and the great majority never had a very profound and secluded experience with the Creator Himself, and causes imbalance in any kind of teamwork or experiences when people begin their quest of walking on a path. So then, what is the most important point of these as far as making teams on behalf of the holy instructions, so then people can understand the holy path? Simply always trying to identify the situation with those who had a time isolated from the world for the purposes of teaching, so they can be on the same page, on the same path, because the objective is very rough. It's not for every person. Sometimes when a team is put together, you find people who never had truly an experience. They never had truly an experience with the Creator of isolation. People, they tend of having the understanding of the Creator as a giver every time, no trouble in their lives. They want to have a nice home, nice family, everything fine, no troubles. And it is against the holy instructions. What you find until you gain personal victory is the contrary. It is rough. It is not easy. As then a person understands what the Messiah said, in this world you are going to have trouble, it's simply to strengthen our resolve in staying on the path while going through many troubles. So then a person comes out from this side to the other side after the experience and then bearing fruit. So then when circumstances they turn against, try to understand that it is not for the purposes of defeat. As long as we are clean before the Creator Himself, He takes care of us. And He always does. So then, because of these, what can we understand of Revelation, or then Galah? Very important topic, because we know the Messiah was born in mid-Tishri of 3998, and then he spent some time with the Samaritans, and then he was placed on a pole in 5032. If you then understand a couple of thousand years later, the time he spent 2 days with the Samaritans outside of the holy city, indicating 2,000 years of Gentile rulership, then you understand 7032. We are in 7014. So the time truly is very short. So then, why do we read Galah? What is the objective of reading Galah? People, are they interested in Galah? What would make them, as people who understand are saved, bearing fruit and not gorging themselves with the rot of this world? Firstly then, let's understand what the Messiah said, Yahanan. He gave his title, and he then is explaining himself as the very bridge from where heaven then is obviously judging this age. Some people, they are so ignorant that they believe this age must be restored. We are not speaking of restoration of this contaminated age. This age must be burned. However, the holy cities must return, and the first holy city on the land of Cush, as per the instructions of Sheol the prophet. Then the 7 cities of Asia Minor must return, preparing this world for the autumn feast. Those are physical cities, each of them with the Ark of the Covenant, replicas of course. But the original must remain in Jerusalem for later use. Then, what else can we understand of the holy instructions? Are then the seals open? First seal makes a line with the first shofar, and makes a line then with the first cup. Each of them, they are in line with the entire understanding. Ezekiel, the first chapter, speaks of the clock of Ezekiel. Synchronisms of events taking place at the same time. Extremely important, because as we understand Daniel 11:5, Daniel 11:6, Daniel 11:7, and 11:8, we are expecting the Northern Kingdom or the Soviet Union making a deal with Egypt. From then on, arms then being sold in Northern Africa, and then taking care of the wars. Sometimes we think the restoration period only speaks of peace. In fact, because we don't understand the holy instructions, we understand during this time of the restoration period should have only a war, and a war only, beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, where the prophet said would have. The rest of the world should be involved with rebuilding. But the world wants his way, or their way. Thus then, so many wars are fought in so many fronts. So then, what do we understand as far as Galah? What is the objective of Galah, or the autumn feast? Now, if you want the world to become friend of yours, then there is no point of reading Galah. Now, if you want to save your own soul from destruction coming, then we should read, because reveals us saved, and then testifying on behalf of the Messiah as per Revelation the 6th chapter. Then the whole point of this specific, very precise writing of the Holy Hebrews We read Galah, and the first section you find when the Messiah then died on stake, and then there was a great earthquake. And there was then the Ark of the Covenant revealed, because the dam of the Messiah went down through the crack on the rock, precisely where the Holy Ark of the Covenant was at, and then his holy dam came down on the west side of the Ark of the Covenant. Thus the earthquake then completed. Then you find the second seal, and then the second shofar and the second cup. But then, the most important topic regarding Galah, or the vengeance, is not the returning of the Messiah. Because when people are in the holy cities, they are saved with autumn feast or not. There are no troubles in the holy cities. Now, because of the sake of the holy instructions and what must take place, obviously, they will to wish for the ending of this age. But let's then evaluate further why we should have then vengeance. Some people say then the Messiah came and he established some sort of a friendship with this world, so then he has to come only and fix it. Now he must be destroyed. And the testifiers on behalf of the Messiah must be destroyed also. Only those remaining in the holy cities shall stay. So then, what else can we read from Sheol the prophet in Revelation? Autumn feast. And then, as we read Revelation, what is the point of reading and the most important topic? Couple of situations. You find the judgment or then vengeance taking place as the both bombs explode. Thus the pit. The whole situation regarding Revelation is based from the detonation of both bombs. And you find these in Zechariah the 5th chapter. Galals, for instance. Those are tubes. He was explaining of tubes. Then you find in Revelation, then Yohanan saw as it was in a star coming down from heaven. In our time, it is the atomic bomb, because the destruction of this earth must come through the hands of man. There won't be natural causes for the destruction of this earth, but man-made. So then, there is the first bomb, lots of oil in the ocean. Then you find the seal and the shofar and the cup related with this topic. Then you have then the spiritual understanding of this situation. As we are in the realm of the spirit, then making war to save our own souls, then sections of Revelation is related with the spirit world, where we read sections of the false Savior. He sits on a horse, the false Messiah, then leading death and destruction and whatsoever. And later on comes the true Messiah. As we understand, Gog and Magog, United States and Israel, the unbelieving Israel, later on joining up to deceive more. As what we read then in Daniel the 11th chapter. Then comes the covenants. Truly only a covenant, but then the second tabernacle services. And then what's the relationship regarding politics of Israel, the unbelieving Israel, United States, and the other nations? Very simply, Gog and Magog, they're going to be placed aside for some time. But then the kingdom of the east, north, and south, they are the most prominent during our time. Now, there are talks of the G20, of those politicians over there going on and trying to make their own junks and trying to pumping up more money into the system to make sure more jobs are generated. It won't work. Then you have the problem of the United States going through so many fronts of war. It won't work either. Then you have the nations of Europe trying to come up with some solution to get the Eurozone then out of stagnation. It won't work. And then nations trying to extend the 1,000 years of the city for their own benefits and conveniences. It won't work either. China must be first. Alibaba went to the New York Stock Exchange and made huge amount of money. And then what is the objective? Simply simplifying the system. As we understand, there are many equipment in space that came from China for the purposes of the signal of the new trade. And Alibaba is the most important e-trade ever. It is the very top. Now you can buy products from Alibaba. You can get very nice rates for freighting. It only lacks the icon of investment. That's what's coming next. Next to 20 months, the very maximum, we should have these third icon, and then the system is placed. From then on, China will grow leaps and bounds. So then, infrastructure. What can we understand the job market of the future? Logistics. Whatsoever is related with logistics you can think of. It is the very type of work that provides lots of money. But then, the more the world is preparing itself for this time of prosperity, let's try understand what the Messiah, the Holy Savior, did when he came from the dead. Every time he was involved with the world became prosperous. The Messiah is returned to his holy cities. The world is preparing itself for prosperity. It is the nature of dealing with tabernacling. As the world is coming out of 1,000 years of deceit, and politicians, liars, and scoundrels of the worst kind that ever lived in the face of the earth are trying then to combine their forces. Understandably, their symbol is the Tower of Babel halfway built. Then we understand this factor. The Creator himself does not want his or theirs type of system. He has his own. And then let's make sure we understand, when this time comes, it only lacks the third step. Then let's be aware then what the Messiah said prior to his ascension, of what takes place with the soul of the person when it goes down into Sheol. It's not very nice down there. Let's make sure people understand, and they fight in their minds, and they make a decision while they are doing the work in this contaminated, scoundrelized age. They can maintain themselves loyal and teaching other people, showing them the holy layers, so then other people can save their own souls. And then bearing fruit. Next time we're going to evaluate the rest of the Holy Megillah and the seals, and then the rest of the shofars and the cups. So then, with these in mind, we close these. Please stay tuned, much more coming up.